Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today I am doing a cross audio experience for the podcast Empowering Her and for members of our Launchpad. If you don't know what the Launchpad is yet, you are in for a treat. For anyone who has wanted to run girls empowerment workshops but doesn't really know where to start and isn't looking to invest in the whole program yet, we have an experience, and basically what we do is for $22, we teach you in a 90-minute masterclass that's live on Zoom how to run your very first monetized girls empowerment workshop. We cover the A to Z of it. We do mindset work. We teach you what you're going to teach, how you're going to teach it, how you're going to fill your workshops, all the good stuff. So if you want more information on that, www.melodypourmoradi.com/launchpad. And the reason I'm doing this live in the Launchpad right now is because we are talking all about mindset and talking about why we haven't acted on the things that are on our hearts. And that's what today's episode is really about. And I'm going to start it off with a story. I actually have a very good friend who had two amazing ideas that she knew were big ideas. She knew that if she had actually taken aligned action on what she thought of and what she knew she could create with these two ideas and like these intuitive downloads that came to her, that she could have been incredibly successful in all the ways. But she waited on both ideas, and she had them at different times. So there was the first, and I'm not even going to tell you what these ideas are because it'll blow your mind. But think like Amazon, but it's not Amazon. Like think big ideas like that, day-to-day things that we use literally on the regular. And she thought of them, and I remember her telling me about them, and I remember saying, you've got to do this. But mindset held her back, and now she kicks herself because she had that like nugget of wisdom, that download that came to her and said, oh my God, this could be so big. But she didn't have the faith in herself, and she didn't know how to make all the stars align to make it happen. And little did she know that the stars didn't need to align. She just needed to start. And the reason I start with this story is because I think that so often, like in any moment of your life, if you look back a year, if you look back 2 years, if you look back 5 years, if you look back 10 years, there was something that you wanted to do in that time and space, but you decided not to do it. Usually the reason is mindset. Usually the reason is not feeling good enough, not feeling like you've got what it takes. And we stop ourselves, but look at that. The time passed anyways, right? 2 years passed, 5 years passed, 10 years passed. Imagine that thing that you wanted to do that was on your heart, if you had actually acted on it and what it could be today. And the reason I bring this up is not to make you feel bad or not to make myself feel bad, because I think we can all look at things we wish we had done, but instead to say there's no time like the present, because 5 years from now, we will be looking back at 5 years ago. And don't we want to be able to say, I did what I felt inspired to do. I didn't stop myself. I took imperfect action. That's what I want for all of us. So I don't want us to wait any longer to act on our dreams. And for the people who are in this Launchpad experience, I have spoken to most of you, and I know that you have girls empowerment on your hearts. I know that you signed up for the Launchpad because you wanted to run a girls empowerment workshop. And I know that you're considering taking the next step and becoming a girls empowerment leader. Now, the last few weeks, I've been doing this fun series on my Instagram page at GiRLiFE Empowerment. And it's been like the #1 reason why you haven't run your first profitable girls empowerment workshop yet. And then the #2 reason, and the #3 reason. And I'm just constantly coming up with more reasons because I know all the mindset blocks. We have 200 coaches in our program, and I've spoken to all of them, and I've heard all the reasons. And of course, I remember all of my own reasons. I remember all of the reasons why I was the bottleneck in my own journey, why I was my own, I instead of being my advocate, I was the person who stopped me from doing things because, we've got this big, beautiful brain, and sometimes We start to believe the self-defeating thoughts. And when we give into the self-defeating thoughts, it's a downward spiral. But we get to stop ourselves in our tracks and be like, is that thought serving me? Is that thought helping me to be my most empowered self? Is that the most empowering thought I can have in this moment? And if it's not, we get to regroup. That's how intelligently we've been built. Human beings are the only species that can make changes, that can like literally have a thought that they don't like and create a new thought and then create a change in their lives based on that thought. No other species can do that. So let's not let that beautiful opportunity pass us all by. And let's use that inner dialogue as a force for good, as a force for impact. So I have a list here of some of the reasons that stop us all from doing the things we want to do. In this case, specifically running girls empowerment workshops, but we can literally apply it to just about anything. So the first one is you think you don't have what it takes. And I want to speak to each of these fears. What would make you think you don't have what it takes, right? Like, if every human being who ever created anything brilliant in this world had convinced themselves that they don't have what it takes, then we would be robbed of like some of the most important work in the world, right? There would be doctors that wouldn't exist. There would be masterpieces that wouldn't exist. There would be music and poetry that wouldn't exist. So we need to stop speaking to ourselves in that way. We need to speak to ourselves as if we are like the most capable, the most powerful human being, right? Because that's when greatness can come forth. We need to call on our inner leader that's in there. It's in there for all of us. The only difference between us and Michelangelo is that we perhaps haven't yet accepted that invitation to the challenge that's been presented to us of going after our dreams, of bringing our ideas into form. So that is the only difference. That inner greatness exists in all of us, and for all of us, it comes in a different shape and size. And it's up to us to figure out what it is, and when we do, to actually go for it. Because we don't want to be like the people in the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, that book by Bronnie Ware, where she says the number one regret of the dying is I wish I'd had the courage to live the life I knew I wanted to live and not worried about what everyone else wanted for me. And I just did the thing. So we don't want that, right? Like sometimes we use that analogy of our deathbed, of our last days of life to remind us what kind of life we want to live. And so this is one of those opportunities. So you 100% have what it takes. If you're thinking of becoming a girls empowerment leader, you are a woman. There is a young girl living within you who didn't have access to all of these superpowers that live within us because you just didn't know about it. And now you do. And as someone who does and who has spent your lifetime living out these tools and becoming that resilient woman who's filled with grit and grace and has like made it through every challenge she's ever experienced, right? If you're here, it means you've got what it takes. It means you have wisdom to share with our next generation. You made it through, and there's a reason for that. So you 100% have what it takes. That's the first thing I want to talk about. Number 2 is you're worried about what other people are going to think. I would have to say, this is probably one of the biggest things for me. When I first wanted to start GiRLiFE, first of all, I did the silly thing of talking to people who I knew would put roadblocks up for me, right? So like newsflash, when you want to do something big, talk to people who are going to help you bring your dream to life or support you or energetically believe in your vision. Don't talk to the people who are always negative Nellies or who will always like challenge you with a problem, but not in a way to help you grow, but more in a way to help you keep small. And so I spoke to some people. I spoke to some who really like supported me all the way and said, Melody, this is a great idea. And where has this been all of our lives? And let's go. I'm here. I'm like supporting you. Go for it. And then there were those people who are like, what would make you think this would work? Like, who are you to do this? And, you know, if I had listened to those voices, I wouldn't be here where I am today, right? And if we think about 200 coaches who have been trained with the academy that I created and the ripple effect that each of them are having with the girls in their communities and the girls they serve, how dare I keep it to myself, right? How dare I keep to myself something that could cause such transformative change for our future generation of women? So we need to be very aware of the company that we keep, right? And we need to really stop thinking about what other people think. At the end of the day, those people who voiced their concerns or their disbelief in my vision, they wouldn't be regretful in 10 years if they hadn't done it. It's me. Like, I'm the one who's affected, not them. So don't listen to the naysayers or the haters, but instead allow them to serve as fuel for reminding you how important this mission is. And that's what it was for me. I was like, I am literally going to turn the volume down on that radio station because it's doing nothing for me. I'm going to amp up the volume on this radio station that's inspiring and empowering and supportive. And that's what I did. And I really had to stop thinking about what other people think, because Janelle from high school who used to bully you really doesn't care that you're stepping into your big idea. Do you know what I mean? She was never supportive for you anyway. So why is her voice from grade school or middle school or high school still playing such an important role in your inner world, right? Nobody cares. Nobody cares that much what we're doing with our lives. We care. We are the lead player, the lead character in our own lives. And so let's not give our power away another moment. Let's not let what we're afraid other people are going to think stop us from living out what we know to be true for us. Excuse me. All right, number 3, you're worried that you won't be successful. You're worried, like whatever your big idea is, or you're thinking of running girls empowerment workshops, you're worried that you won't be successful. Well, I'm going to tell you, whatever we give our energy to grows. So if you want to continue worrying, then I guarantee you will not be successful in any endeavor. Stop giving your energy to the worry, because that in and of itself is a negative affirmation, right? I'm worried that this, I'm worried that that, I'm afraid that this, I'm afraid that that. Those are negative affirmations. We want to have positive affirmations in our lives. We want to give energy to opportunity and to possibility. And so when we step into any endeavor, right, even like a relationship, right, starting a business, anything that you want to start, you are going to need to give energy to the possibility of the thing actually being successful and working out and being impactful. So it's really important that you proceed as if your success is inevitable. If your success were inevitable, would you start right now? I'm willing to bet that you would. So let's start moving forward on that big dream on our hearts as if our success was inevitable. That's perhaps one of the most important things I'll say today. Next is you're not sure where to start. You know what? Start with what you know. Start with where you're at. Start with the smallest possible thing that you could do. When it comes to a girls empowerment workshop, start with communication, start with connection, start with love, right? Back your vision up with those things. Like, it is our birthright as human beings to connect with other people. So what if we started by sharing with a few close friends what we want to do or what we are doing, right? We don't want to be like, I want to do this. We want to say, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm stepping into. I'm passionate about it. Speak with confidence, okay? Speak like you believe in what you're about to do, because at the end of the day, when you believe in that vision, other people will be bought into it too. And if you're not bought in, other people won't be. Chances are those naysayers of my vision were just feeding off of my energy. Perhaps when I presented the idea to them, I was speaking in a way that was fearful because I knew the type of person they were. and I knew what they would think. So they were not bought into my vision because I was behaving as if I was not bought into my own vision. Is this making sense? I hope it is, because I feel like this is some really powerful stuff that if we can just shift the way we look at things, as Wayne Dyer says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. So our perspective is key. That's actually one of the workshops that we run at GiRLiFE. I am responsible for the world I see. Do you want to live in a world that sucks? Do you want to live in a world that is filled with negativity and bad people? Guess what? If that's what you choose to see, that is the experience you will have. But if you want to live in a world that is abundant and filled with kind people and kind gestures and opportunities, that's the world you're going to live in. You get to choose. It's like a choose your own adventure book is what we say in our workshops. And I date myself when I say that, and I admit that to the girls. I'm like, girls, there used to be a book called a choose your own adventure book. And I explain what it was to them. And I talk to them about how they get to choose their own adventure in life. Is your adventure going to be a tragedy, or is it going to be a masterpiece? You get to choose. All right. Okay. So start at the beginning. That's all it is. Start at the beginning. Start with connection and love. Number 5, you are afraid you're going to run out of things to do, right? Run out of things to teach. I promise you won't. When it comes to girls empowerment workshops, there's no end. Each workshop gives way to like 5 other workshops. It's like branches on a tree that you could go anywhere with the messages of the workshop. But we teach you. We teach you exactly what to teach and how to teach it. So it's not something that you need to worry about. But I promise you, there's such a naturalness in it. There's such an organic way of this all working out for you and for the girls that you're serving. Because if you just show up like natural and as yourself, your authentic self, you will not run out of things to share about. Because like I said, you are a woman walking this earth. You are an influencer in the lives of girls, and you have so much wisdom to share. So you will never run out of things to teach about. That being said, we've got your back because we're giving you a curriculum of 17 different workshops. And as I mentioned, each of those 17 workshops has its own branches. So there's no limit to how much there is to share with the girls. All right. All right. This is a really big one. So financial blocks, feeling like you don't want to have to charge people for this work that you're doing. So often we think that because this work is like in the world of self-help, empowerment, service, this service work, that we shouldn't charge for it. And I'm here to share that we get to change the narrative, right? Like as coaches, as healers, as teachers, we deserve to be sustained for the work that we do. And when we can earn abundantly for that good work, guess what happens? We can create more of that work. We can show up more. We can give more hours to this mission. But if we don't, we will be tapped out financially, energetically, spiritually, all the ways. So why would we do that to ourselves? Furthermore, when people pay, they pay attention. So when you give them that positive charge of electricity, of excitement, of empowerment, they don't feel bad that you've charged them because they know that they've shown up for something really, really important. So a lot of the time, in fact, most of the time, the transformation is in the transaction. I want you to know, trust, and believe that when people pay, they pay attention. Okay? When people pay, they pay attention. So we have 2 more. Number 7, you're not sure your community will embrace the work that you're doing. I guarantee you that if you move forward with that authenticity, if you keep speaking your truth, even when your voice shakes, you are going to completely get the backing and the support of everyone who you come in contact to. That's what it comes down to. When you bring your full energy to this, when you continue to take aligned action, even when it's hard, even when you're scared, you're going to be just fine because we don't give up, right? again, like if we look at the Jeff Bezoses of the world or the Elon Musks of the world, they didn't stop just because things were hard, right? So like I didn't stop just because I had one workshop that only enrolled a few girls. I kept going. And I built this platform that I'm here sharing about. We don't stop when things get tough. We keep going. We are built with grit and resilience. And if it's important enough to us, we will continue doing it. And by the way, no success story is built overnight. It takes time. Greatness takes time. You need many hours. I'm going to say close to 1,000 hours of a lot of the things that a lot of these people who are successful are doing to be able to replicate their success model. So if you're really serious about this, you're going to keep going. You're not going to stop, because you know as well as I do that doing 2 workshops and then not getting the feedback and the audience and the registration that we wanted, that is no indicator of how your community will respond to this, because there are timing constraints. There are age constraints, like people can't always get to you. So just because one workshop didn't work out or the second one didn't, doesn't mean the third and the fourth and the fifth one will be the same. Please believe, trust, and acknowledge that, because that's like a really important puzzle piece here. It's that we keep going and we keep trying and we keep iterating in any business model, okay? And finally, a lot of the things that hold us back from doing that thing that's on our heart is because we strive for perfection. Perfection is poison. It simply doesn't exist. And if we think it does, we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. We need to take imperfect action. We need to know that there will never be a time when every single piece of this equation is exactly the way you want it. It just won't be. We need you to show up as your perfectly imperfect self. That is the greatest gift that you have to give to the world. Don't rob people of your magic and your talents and your superpowers because you're trying to get it just right. Just right is an illusion, and it's a dream killer. Perfection, the constant striving for perfection is a dream killer. And I'm so tired of seeing women not stand in their power because they believe in the virtue of perfection. I think we were taught to be good girls, and that's why it's so hard for us to move forward when we don't think it's going to work out and we don't think everything is aligned. But here I am to tell you that your most powerful version of you is on the other side of taking that imperfect action on just about anything, okay? Let's not deprive ourselves of what we know is ours. Let's not deprive the girls in our community of the impact that we are here to bring them, to deliver to them. Let's not deny ourselves of the dreams any longer. Let's step in our power as women and do that thing that's on our hearts, whether it's becoming a girls empowerment coach, whether it's becoming a mother, making the decision to become a mother, whether it's making the decision to make yourself available for that relationship that you so deeply want in your life. Start taking imperfect action. If you wait for perfection, it will never come, and you will look back 50 years from now wondering why you'd wished and waited for the circumstances to be right. You are the circumstances. You create the final outcome. I believe in you. I hope that you will believe in yourself. I'm betting on you. I hope that you will bet on yourselves. I'm sending you all so much love. If you love what you're hearing on the Empowering Her podcast, if it's speaking to you, share this episode with another person. If you love a nugget of wisdom that came out of this episode, by all means, leave a review for us. This is a free service that I open my heart to and provide each week. But what helps me get it in the hands and ears of those who need it the most is your positive review. So I would very, very much appreciate a review. I love you all so much. I'm grateful for you, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye.